Keep coming. That's it. Let's look at us. Look at us. Look at us. Yeah. Now after you come up here, you can open the doors. Y'all can walk out the door after you come up here. But make sure you come this way before you go out the door. That's it. Look at God. Look at what God has done. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'm good. I'm out. Peace.
The way it would have been a track meet up in that church, I would have been hurdling over them pews and busting through that door. Don't try me. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back again. And oh my gosh, today we are going to be talking about the viral news that has been going on for the past few days regarding Marvin Sapp. Yes, Pastor Marvin Sapp. If you have been living under a rock, let me put you on. Marvin Sapp is a preacher at a church, and he claims that he was at a revival or some type of church convention. It looked like he was in his church. And he, along with another preacher, was asking the congregation to sow a seed. But not just a seed, he gave a number. He put a name on it. He asked for the congregation to sow a seed of $40,000 in that one sermon. Now, not only did he ask people for $40,000, he said, for many of you who's on the pulpit, he had mentioned if every single person here or in the audience or in the congregation can sow a seed of $20, that is what he's expecting for them to do. Now, he had a good amount of people, a nice crowd of people behind him who were so-called preachers. And he said the $20 donation is not from you. That's not for you. That's going to be for the congregation. But if you up here and you behind me, you got to pay $100. It costs to be up here. Now, where they do that at? Where they do that at? That's crazy. And let's take it up a notch. Let's take it to another level. He instructed the ushers to close the door. Close the door to church. What? That's crazy. Let me tell you something. I've gone to church most of my life. I can say from when I was 4 years old. And I'm a Gen Xer. I have gone to church since I was 4 years old. And I never, ever heard a pastor, like the collection plate has gone around a few times, but you sow if you can. And they always mention that you're supposed to pay your tithe, your 10%, and then, there's the building fund, and then you come around, and then there's the sick and shut-in fund, or for the prison, where they go to the prisons to, minister to the prisoners fund. There's all kind of funds for the food drive fund. But never ever have I heard a pastor say, shut the door. I said, shut the door. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because honestly, if we really going to speak the truth, you was pretty much holding people hostage. And you were like, if you didn't give me the money, you ain't coming up out of here. child. My grandmother should have been in the building. Now, my grandmother, she's Jamaican. But her late husband is from South Carolina. Yeah, she got married, I would say in her 70s, late 70s, approaching her 80s. So for those of you who's like, oh, I can't find nobody, there's love for everybody. My grandmother, she got married in her late 70s. But anyway, that's here nor there. My grandmother's late husband, who's from South Carolina, told her how to you know what. And when they used to travel, I mean, he's gone now. And this happened a long time ago, but she moved down south with her husband. And when they used to travel back to New York, because most of my grandmother's family is here in New York, they would cross state lines with the blicky. So he taught her, and mind you, they're not supposed to be doing this. This is against the law. You got these old people in their 80s crossing state lines with the blicky under the seat of the car. Which is wild to me, but he taught her how to pew pew. So, oh yeah. I was saying if my grandmother was in that church, good luck. You couldn't close no door on her. She would have pulled out the blicky and lit somebody ears up with the quickness. My grandmother don't play. It would have came out her purse. And what's so funny, some might not think it's funny, but what's so funny is that when the collection plate comes around, my grandmother only put $1 or $2 and that's it. Because her main complaint, for as long as I can remember, is that these churches are just trying to take your money, take your money, take your money. And you gotta live. You gotta live. And I have another story. The church that my mom used to go to, there was this lady who was going to that church for years. They gonna mess up my monetization. Anyway, the church that my mom went to, there was a lady who was a member, and she went to that church for years and years and years. And she faithfully paid her tithes, plus more. So she came upon a situation, I believe, don't quote me on this, but she came upon a situation where I believe this was around 2008. You know, the housing market dumped, it crashed. And this lady who has been attending the church for maybe decades, her back was against the wall. And she went to the pastor and asked if he could help her because she was in jeopardy of losing her house. You know, that pastor looked her in the face and told her, I'm sorry, I can't help you. The thousands, possibly thousands of dollars that this lady contributed to the church, paying her tithes and whatever else that the churches be asking for when that collection plate keeps circling back around and circling back around and circling back around, maybe 8 times in one Sunday. Looked her in the face and told her, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Let me tell you something. That would have pissed me off so bad. The lady never came back. She never went back to that church. And honestly, I feel like that is so painful because a lot of these pastors have a reputation of living in these nice houses. I mean, beautiful houses. They have children. The children are going to private school and they have these nice luxury cars. I'm hearing some of these pastors have jets. They have jets. They have, what do you call that? They live in a mansion. They have yachts. Like, while the people in the congregation, some people are doing pretty well for themselves. You know, they're in occupations where they make some pretty good money. But I would say a majority of the churchgoers are middle-class families, or some who are just making it, some who are elderly and they're living on a fixed income. They're probably going to get in Social Security, pension if they're lucky. You know, they really don't have it like that. But, you know, they're pretty adamant about, you know, you got to pay your tithes, you got to pay your 10%. And then, you know, they probably giving a little extra, and they at home eating cat food. It's crazy. So, I don't know. This situation, as far as Pastor Marvin Sapp saying $40,000 or ain't nobody leaving, is wild. Especially in the economy that we are living in right now. It is 2025. Under the administration that we are under, and you know who's our president, and all the cuts and changes that he's making that is not benefiting the middle class or the lower class, you have some nerve. You have some nerve to be asking people, not asking, telling people that they got to pay, they got to give up $40,000 in one shot, in that moment. Yo, that is wild to me. I'm going to say like everybody else, eggs is costing $13, $14 a carton just for 12 eggs. And you said you $40,000. Where's the sympathy? Where's the compassion for people? There are a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people who are struggling right now. Struggling. You trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. In the words of good old Tupac. You trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. You trying to make things stretch. You trying to make your money stretch. You have a household full of kids, and let me tell you, kids' stomachs don't give a damn about no inflation. They don't care. They hungry, and you gotta feed them. So it's like you're doing your best to like try to cut costs in certain areas so that you can survive and keep your head above water. So for him to have the gall, for him to have the audacity to say, you got to give me $40,000, close the door, ain't nobody getting up out of here until the money that I asked for is met, is wild. Is wild. But yeah, it's getting crazy. And you know what, I'm hearing that, you know, a lot of these churches, this is what's going on. The pastors coming in with Gucci and Hoochie and Bucci on, and all this name brand stuff, and having all these luxury cars and living in mansions, while, you know, you have some people, which is unfortunate, they're living in Section 8 housing. Some people, you know, they gotta rent a room. Like, they really struggling, and they are giving up the money that they need to survive. So, oh my gosh, I don't know. How do you guys feel? Go down in the comments and tell me how you feel about this whole situation. I mean, TikTok, YouTube, everybody's in an uproar at this point. We're like, what the heck? But a lot of people who are saying, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. But this here, what Marvin did, is next level to me. That's crazy. What you need that money for? You ain't even telling nobody what you need the money for. You just saying, I need $40,000. And don't another one of the preachers who was up there before Marvin said something about how they got a grant. So if you got a grant, why the heck you asking me for $40,000 of my taxed money? My money is already taxed. Churches don't get taxed. So you getting free money that's already been taxed. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. If you just got a grant, why are you asking me for $40,000 and you're not even telling me what it's for? You could at least make something up and say, oh, it's for the building fund. But the building fund, they done wore that one out so bad for so many years. You say building fund, you ain't getting nothing. But yeah. Go down in the comments. Tell me how you feel about this situation. Have you had any experiences in the church? You know, going to church, or your grandparents or your parents, or you've heard through the grapevine or little whispers about sister so-and-so or mother so-and-so or Deacon Fry or whoever in the church experience XYZ, and it pretty much made them like give up on the church, because it's like, look at the stuff that's going on. I mean, there's plenty of other things that's going on in the church. That's for another day and another conversation and another video. But let's just strictly stick to the whole situation with paying tithes and offerings, the building fund, the prison fund, the food fund, the sick and shut-in fund. I mean, there's so many funds, and it's like, some of these churches, majority of these churches, you don't see an improvement. So it's like, where is this money really going to? And you see that pastors living in a mansion or in a gated community, or you drive by his house and there's like these tall gates, like he live at the Buckingham Palace, and his family is doing good. All his kids got brand new cars or Maybachs or Rolls Royces, and you driving a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry or a Prius, and you can barely put gas in your car. You got to drive till your car's on E. That's what I be doing. You're not supposed to, but I do it. You drive till your car's on E. You shopping at Family Dollar because the food is so darn expensive in the supermarket. Bills is going up. And you asking me for $40,000 collectively of the church's money, and people are struggling right now? Man, you don't have no compassion. You are just so lost in the sauce. You have no understanding of struggle anymore. You are so out of that area of life to the point where it's like you've lost touch. You've lost touch with the people around you and their realities. But anyway, I'm not going to hold you up anymore. Please state your grievances in the comments. I thank you so much for returning, if you are a returning subscriber. And if you are a new subscriber, I welcome you to stay. Don't be pressing the unsubscribe button every 5 seconds, okay? It's either you in or you out. Stop opening my door, letting the flies in. Okay, it's either you gonna stay or you're not gonna stay, but I would like for you to stay. All right, it's been wonderful having this conversation with you, and we can continue this convo in the comments. I love you. Goodbye. Mwah.